All right, got another video for you. Customer complaint is that they can only run this mower with the choke on. So a couple simple things that we're going to check real quick. You have a fuel solenoid right there on the carburetor, and what you want to do is work the key back and forth with all of your park and everything in place, and obviously the blade off when you do this. And I've already checked that, worked the key, put my hand on the solenoid, and it does work. So I don't think that is the problem. The next thing is, if you look at this fuel filter, I can't really tell, but this fuel filter could be questionable. Let me see if I can get the camera on there good. I think that might be our culprit right there. Obviously, if fuel can't travel through to the fuel pump and into the carburetor, it limits it. But at the same time, this thing does work with the choke on, so we are getting fuel, just not the proper amount. Another one that is common that I've always found is, and in this particular model, is some of these you have to watch where they have a vent style. And if we look here at the fuel pump, they actually use, here's the line to operate the fuel pump, and it actually comes over and gets it, because it works off crankcase ventilation. Every time the piston moves, it helps create vacuum to make the fuel pump work. So I see that's all right. So that is okay. This mower, I do not believe, I can't tell. I think there's only one. Yeah, there's only one line going to the tank. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the second line right here. So this is vented. So you don't have to worry about a gas cap vent. Yeah, that fuel line comes over and then goes in right there, and then let's see if I get it. Goes in right there, and then it's filtered by the air filter. So it's a evaporation system, but what do we know? Just took that off. I think we found our problem. If you look right there, look how that's packed with grass. So in other words, our fuel can't breathe. That is all packed with grass, so we can't, it gets vapor locked. So let's take in, we'll clean that out and then see if we'll start this thing up and see how it works. All right, simple and basic. We'll put this cover back on. Get that in the right spot. All right, there we go. Now let's see if this thing will fire up and run normally. Nope, we got nothing. Smell fuel though. So I think the next thing we're going to do is check that fuel filter. Oh, there we go. All right, let's check that fuel filter. All right, we're gonna disconnect fuel line here. Well, it's running out on its own, so now, without hopefully making too much of a mess here, but it's flowing okay. I've seen worse. So now the question is, unless there's junk in the carburetor, which would be the next thing. All right, you get tested and you're not filming and stuff like that. I do think there's a combination of a couple of things. I'm going to blow that carburetor off there yet too. But I think some of it was actually this spark plug. I touched that and that spark plug fell apart. Threw a new spark plug in it and then choked it and it came on. Now the customer's complaint was they had to run it on full choke and they finished the grass. So I do think there was a combination of two things going on here. I do think it was somewhat that. So we'll get this all out of here and then we'll go test drive it and see how it is. All right, let's see if it'll start without choke. Probably going to be hard to hear me, but let's try it. All right, so we still got a problem. What sucks is you can't see the condition of the gas because I had like 8 customers so far this year had water in their gas. It seems like it's getting, yeah, it's gonna do it again. It's acting like it's running out of gas. Operate it here with one hand. Seems like it's starting to clear up. What's not much grass to cut, but
fuel filter is still full. Fuel filter is still full. I just don't like the color of it.
Just sucks as things age here, as you can see here. This says 198 hours on it. This carburetor is not adjustable. Could be old fuel, not sure. I'd have to ask. See, the valve cover's leaking again. We'll go over the bolts on that and double check that. But I'm wondering if we're getting a carburetor problem here. So let's see here. Preventative maintenance is a very particular thing. Like, I do not think this fuel filter was replaced in a long time. So I'm gonna, but I mean, they can be deceiving. I do like clear filters. That way you can tell what's going on in there. And your dirt is going to be on this side. And the more I'm looking at that, that looks awful questionable. Let me see if I have a vice grip with me. We'll clamp that off, run out of gas. All right, here's the fuel filter. I think they had it on backwards. I don't know who put it on or whatever. This could be an original fuel filter for all I know. I never serviced this machine before. So there's a right and a wrong way to do these. I'm going to show you on a new filter how to do it. And it's a lot more, how do I say, you can see it better on these clear filters. All right, so just found, again, it's hard to really see, the fuel filter was installed backwards. So that means the fuel was coming in through this way, which is a lot smaller. It could be easily blocked. So the proper way, you always want to look at your fuel filter and see the arrow on it, which I believe on this one you can see it a little better because it's not all wore out. But you want your fuel filter like this. So this side here would be towards the tank. This side would be towards the carburetor or towards the fuel pump. And right there, if the camera will pick it up, is a little arrow which indicates the proper direction. So I removed this off the mower, so let's get this installed. All right, also when you're working with a fuel line or something like that, it's always good to have a pair of vice grips or a pair of forceps to shut the fuel line off, because you don't want, and a lot of these mowers don't have fuel shutoffs on them. It's a real shame. If any of you engineers or ones that build these things and engineer them, a fuel shutoff would be a great idea. So anyway, let's check
that out. Started right up, no problem. Still got that surge though. I don't think we're going to do anything with the surge. It's probably going to eventually take the carburetor. That's another thing. Years ago, carburetors used to be adjustable. No leak, so we're good there.
All right, still have a little bit of a surge, but I think it's pretty well should be good. Without spending a lot of money here and a lot of work of replacing that carburetor, I'm going to tell the customer I think we should just run it the way it is. And then eventually, maybe it'll be time for a new carburetor. But I think there was a combination of a couple of things going on with that fuel being restricted. It can affect that. Who knows the quality of the gas because I can't see it. And that pan that I dumped the gas into kind of was dirty. That fuel filter that was on it wasn't great looking. So let's just run it. We'll see how it is. Maybe dump a little bit. We'll tell them put some cleaner in it and then go from there. But as I went to cut some grass with it, it actually seemed like it got better. So So we're going to let that part go. I got to sharpen the blades on this thing, and then this is pretty well good. The owner pretty well takes care of this on their own. So this is GMAC. Like, subscribe. There's some ideas if you ever get a fuel problem or a condition where you have to run it with the choke on fully to cut your grass. So this is GMAC. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. And remember, keep on wrenching.